On the chat show. I really appreciate the opportunity. So what I wanted to go through today is just one of the facets of what I call the customer life cycle model. So this is a program that I run at Visualize to help business owners understand their values and then systemize those values throughout their business. So the idea is to create a values-based culture that's all sort of pulling towards the sun. So I'm going to stop because my phone just went off and I forgot to put it on silence. Bloody thing. Actually, I'm going to turn it off. Off you go. Now we're off. Now we're off. Come on. All right, that's done. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome. My name's Adam. I'm from Visualize. I'd like to thank Bobby for having me on the chat show today. Really appreciate the opportunity to present today. So what I'm going to be covering is one of the aspects of the growth life cycle model, which is a program that I run at Visualize to help business owners understand their values, uncover their values, and then systemize them throughout their business. So the particular topic that we're going to be covering today is decision making and creating high trust teams using your business values. So what I like to tell people is that embedding your values within your business will help enhance decision making within your team, and in turn will create trust. And one of the outcomes, probably the main outcome of that for a business leader, is less oversight and management when those values are effectively embedded. So when I talk about embedding values, I'm talking about taking those values and giving them a place as the decision-making driver within your systems. So this is embedding values into documentation. It's embedding values into your training systems. It's embedding values into your recruiting process and your strategy. And it's also embedding those values into your marketing strategy. So when you take that documentation or those operations, the procedures and processes, when you take that, combine that with training, combine that with a recruiting strategy, and combine that with a marketing strategy that's all values aligned, what you end up with is a situation where your communication to the market matches the experience that people have when they actually interact with your business, because those values are so well embedded from top to bottom within the business. So how do you implement this on a practical level though? Well, let's have a look at your business. So one of the things that we do at Visualize is we visualize your business as a tree. So the tree has four main systems that are operating within the ecosystem. So you've got your sunlight, which provides energy to the tree. You've got your leaves, which capture that energy. You've got your branches, which hold those leaves in place. And then you've got the root system, which holds the whole thing upright and gives it strength and stability. So how do you actually relate that to an operating business though? Well, let's make some adjustments. So your sunlight is your customers. So your customers are providing that energy to your tree in the form of sales opportunity or opportunity. Your team actually convert that opportunity. So they're the leaves. They collect that opportunity from your customers and they turn that into something that is an asset to the business. So that's either going to be sales opportunity, customer relations, whatever it is that you want your team to achieve when they're interacting with your customers. So every interaction should be an asset producing interaction in some way. You then have your operations, and that forms the branch structure of your business. So your operations, processes, procedures, like I was saying before, the documentation, your recruitment strategies, all those sorts of things. That's what's keeping your team supported, and also that's what's holding your team in your business. And then as the business leader or the business manager or the thought leader, you're the roots of that tree. So you steer the direction of the business, you keep the business on track, keep it upright, and keep it moving forward. So that's the analogy that we use within the program. Now, how do we actually take those values and apply that to this analogy? So the way that we do that is we help business owners uncover their own story. So what does that story comprise of? That story comprises of why you're in business, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it. So why are you in business? That equates to your statement of purpose. So that's your reason for existing. What you're going to do, that equates to your vision statement. So that's what you want to see occur. These are your outcome-driven objectives. And then how you're going to do it, that's your mission. That's your mission statement. So this is your boots on the ground, action-oriented strategy. What are the things that you're actually going to do to fulfill that or achieve that vision? So what we do as part of the program is we use that why, we use that what, and we use that how to actually extract your authentic values. Now, why do we do that? Because values underpin everything that is successful within a business. From top to bottom, values are the absolute fabric of every business. They drive your decisions, they inform your behavior. There's really not many facets of a business that aren't affected by value, whether that be consciously or subconsciously, predominantly subconsciously, to be honest. So why do we place this importance on values? Because they are the business growth opportunity. It's as simple as that. They are the absolute best opportunity for growth for your business, because they drive values-based teams, they drive efficiency, they drive effectiveness, they drive customer retention, they drive customer loyalty, and ultimately they lead to profit. At the end of the day, that's why we're all in business. So that's why values are so important to get right. So what do values actually do within your business? Well, there's three main things that they do. They fulfill your purpose, they achieve your vision, and they execute your mission. So today, because we're talking about decision-making and high trust teams, we're going to be focusing on the execution of your mission, because that's predominantly where your team is going to sit and where they're going to operate. So when we look at values and how they execute your mission, there's a couple of things that they do to facilitate that. One of the things that they do is they transform your culture. So what they do is they take a culture of people who are turning up every day to just simply do a job. They transform that to a group of people, a team, who are all pulling towards the same goal, who are all pulling towards the same vision, and they have an investment within that business on a personal level. Particularly when you utilize values within your recruitment strategy, that's where you get a really, really solid values-based culture, because you're recruiting based on shared values. The second thing they do is they transfer your vision. So what I mean by that is vision can be difficult to communicate, because you as the business leader have the vision. It's in your heart, it's in your mind, and there's a lot of aspects of your personality, there's a lot of aspects of your own aspirations that go into creating that vision. But if you can take values out of that vision and systemize those values within the business, then you don't have the labor-intensive process of trying to push that vision and trying to embed that vision and all that it entails within your business. You embed the values, and then the values drive the decisions. So that's how you transfer your vision into the business. The third thing that they do is they inspire your team. So like I was saying before, when you bring a team of shared values together, they not only do they push towards that same goal or that same vision, but they also start to understand their place within that vision, within that team. And so what that tends to do is that gives them ownership over what it is that they're doing within the business, and that inspires them to do the greatest work that they can. The other thing is, because you've aligned their values with your values as a business by systemizing them through your recruitment strategy, then you have that innate value alignment. So people are seeing their own values reflected around them in the team that they're working with and the outcomes that they achieve. Ultimately, the way that values work when it comes to your mission is they're action oriented. So when we talk about systemizing your values in your business, we're talking about creating drivers for action and creating drivers for activity within your business. Okay, so a couple of tips that I give business owners on how to actually create that framework to get that aligned, values aligned decision making is to use your values to guide decisions, embed them in your systems and processes and procedures and policies so that decisions are informed by those values. Use them to align the behavior within your business as well. So this kind of flows on from the decisions, because obviously behavior is essentially a result of a decision. So when you get those decisions values aligned, the behavior will usually be values aligned as well. When you take those two, what you're actually doing is you're empowering your team, because when your team know how to make the decisions, what decisions they need to be making, and then perform the appropriate behavior after those decisions have been made, they're less reliant on you as a business owner, which means that you don't have to make all the decisions, which means your team can then start to make their own decisions and start to actually gauge the outcomes for themselves. Now, you have to be prepared for them to make some mistakes along the way, and that should be okay. As a business leader, that should be okay. If you're truly creating a values aligned culture, then empowerment, mistakes are part of empowerment. But as long as you're driving that empowerment with your team, you will find that they will start to get better and better at it with each iteration. So how do you actually achieve all of this? You clearly define the tasks using your values. So once again, we implement values within the processes, procedures, and the decision-making strategies within the business. So one of the things that I always tell business owners is forget the inspiring seminars. So it is a reality that the vast majority of people really want to turn up to work, know what they need to do, know how they need to achieve it, and perform the tasks that they need to perform to the best of their ability. Pulling the teams into, endless hours of what I call inspiring seminars, most of that information is going to be forgotten. It's not necessarily that it doesn't have any value at all, but if you're relying on seminars and speeches about purpose, vision, and mission and values to actually drive the behaviors within your business, you're probably not going to get the best outcomes. So this needs to be a practical application. This needs to be embedded within everything that you do within the business. Inspiring seminars will make people feel good for a couple of hours, but ultimately they're generally going to be forgotten relatively quickly. And the last point that I want to make is remove the burden of objectives from your team. So by systemizing and by implementing values within the business, what you're doing is you're removing that burden of having to understand the minute details of the core objectives within the business. So you're removing the need to constantly review and read business plans and read policies and philosophies and things like that. You remove that burden. So which means that your team members can just get on with what they're doing and know that they're aligned with your purpose, vision, and mission because they're doing it the way that it's been systemized, that according to the strategy, according to the documentation. Okay. So on a practical level, how do we actually implement this? So when it comes to, we've talked about what implementing does, we've talked about the benefits of systemizing your values within your business. So let's have a little bit of a look at part of the program that we run and how we actually go about helping businesses to implement these values. And this is something that you can do yourself. It's a really valuable way of looking at a business. So the first thing that I often say to people is change the structure. So this is what we've got on the screen here is a classic organizational chart. So this is a departmental style chart, and it's very heavily focused on the hierarchical structure within a business. So you've got your CEO, you've got your marketing manager, sales manager, product manager, commercial manager, all those sorts of things. So what this sort of represents is more of the who reports to who within the business. So what I like to try and get people to do is actually change that structure a little bit, change the way that they look at the business structure and start to actually look at it more in terms of what you're trying to achieve within the business. So the way that we do this is a good way to look at it is using a tool called the customer lifecycle map, which is basically a mind map. So I'll pull that up in a second and I'll take you on a bit of a deeper dive into the way that works. But essentially what happens here is that the customer life cycle map has essentially 3 stages. There's the captivate stage, the delight stage, and the reinforce stage. So the captivate stage is likened back to the leaves of your tree. That's where you're captivating your customers. So that's where you're capturing that sunlight from the opportunity from your customers, like the trees capturing the sunlight. So this typically will involve processes like your marketing process, your sales process. There'll be other processes. Your business will obviously be specific. This is just an example. But that's ultimately when you're bringing your customers into the business. You've then got the second stage, which is just called the delight stage. So that might involve things like your onboarding and your delivery. So the delight stage is about once you've got them into the business, making sure that those interactions now start to match their expectations. So this is things like when you're onboarding, making sure that the communication is there, making sure that your values are radiated from your team members to your new customers, making sure that they feel welcomed, and ultimately the main thing you want to achieve here is your customer thinking to themselves, yes, I've made the right decision to work with this business. And then you deliver, and you make sure you deliver. So the delivery process needs to also have those values embedded. So this onboarding and delivery combination, and again, your business might be different, is how you delight your customer. So it's that experience that they have while they're actually within your business and while the product is being delivered or the service is being delivered. We then move to the third stage, which is called the reinforce stage. So the reinforce stage is, I like to look at reinforcement as a second round of marketing. So during your captivate stage, your marketing strategy is based on bringing new customers into the business and getting them interested in working with you. The reinforcement stage is now showing them that the experience that they've had is standard practice for your business. It's not a one-off. You didn't do it to impress them. It's standard practice. So that involves things like education. So, you might do product training. You might have a blog. You might have articles. You might have newsletters that you send out to customers after they've engaged with you or used your services. Whatever it is to keep yourself in mind with that customer in a positive manner and continue to deliver value to that customer after they've actually purchased, used, and had your service or product delivered. The second facet to that might be proving your value. So that might come with augmented products. So, maybe you're updating the product, maybe you've got new feature sets, maybe you've got new benefits that you can create, that you can roll out. So how you deliver that secondary level of value is going to be specific to your business, but that's part of that. That's part of that proving your value. And the third component there is support. So this is after sales support. Are you reactive to customer inquiries? This is a very important stage, because this is where misunderstandings along the path can be resolved and can be fixed. This is your opportunity to really show the customer that you're with them for the long term. So the idea of this reinforcement stage is that what happens is you've now done that secondary marketing strategy. So what that will hopefully do for your business is that will bring that customer back around to the captivate stage, and then you start that sales process again. The benefit of using this reinforcement stage is that what hopefully will happen is, if your values are clearly defined, if they're clearly radiated, and if your customer can understand the values that they've actually encountered along this journey, it's going to be a lot easier for them to find other customers that can actually use your business, that will resonate with the values of your organization and your business. So along the way back to the captivate stage, they might pick up other customers for you, and that's how you create that. That's how you create that growth. And that's why we call it a cycle, because captivate, delight, reinforce, back to captivate, and hopefully they're bringing new customers with them as a customer advocate. So let's have a really quick look at the physicalities of how that looks. So I'm just going to bring up my mind map. Can everyone see the mind map on the screen there? Beautiful. Okay. So this is the practicalities of how you might do this. So what this is designed around is what a lot of people might call the customer journey. So a good way to start with a customer lifecycle map is to start at the beginning and say, okay, what's the first thing I do? So the first thing might be marketing. Then I move my customer into my sales process. Then I move them into onboarding, then delivery, education, proving of value, and support. So these are actually what we refer to as the branches. So if you go back to the tree analogy, those branches, the operations and policies and procedures and things like that. So we said that they are the branches. So this is your branch structure. So you might have a marketing process, and then that marketing process might branch off into all of the different tasks that need to be performed by the team that's handling this marketing process. So understanding your market, creating strategy, communicating your brand, and so on and so on. So this is what forms the branch structure, for instance, within that marketing process. When you then start to look at needs analysis or skills analysis and recruiting, this is when you start to look at the leaves within that branch structure. Okay. So as you embed these values throughout this process, what you end up with is a team or team member that have that have those innate values that you're looking for. So this is how you actually create that recruitment strategy, or this is how you create a needs analysis or a training strategy. But the ultimate goal is to map this out within your business, find out exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve, what it is that you need at each stage of that process. So that's repeated. So that's repeated throughout the life cycle. So as you can see, if I start to expand these out, you'll see that we have a whole heap of different skill sets and different values. And it also starts to look like a tree. So there you go. So this is the basic structure of how you embed those values. There's obviously quite a lot of depth that you can go into to create that structure, but that's ultimately a really quick look at how changing that structure can help you embed those values within your business. The other advantage to doing this is that it takes into account the fact that certain team members will actually move between these different task sets. So when you look at a purely hierarchical structure, you don't get to see where all of the different interactions are with all of the different teams. When you change the structure like this, you can actually do that. And then when you're starting to create job descriptions, all you're doing is grabbing the tasks and pulling them into a job description that we call a talent profile. Okay. So just quickly, is there any questions about this one? All good. Beautiful. All righty. So the way that this all eventuates within your business is we move into a cycle. So as you continue to embed these values into your business, it's really important to remember that this is not just a once-off. So you learn this and you implement this stuff within your business, but then you actually get better and better at it each time you run it. So, an approach that a lot of my customers take is to just do it for 1 or 2 positions, get good at it, and then they might start to look at different departments or different processes within their business. But the ultimate goal here is that you start with your purpose, you create your vision, you create your mission, you then uncover those values and implement those values into your business. Once you've implemented those values into your business, what that does is that turns the cycle around. So the values then help you execute your mission, which then of course helps you achieve your vision, which then helps you fulfill your purpose, and the cycle continues. And so that's in a nutshell, guys. That's how the process works. And the upshot of all of this is those autonomous teams that are values-based, that are values-driven, that have an understanding of how to make the decisions within the business that are congruent with the values. They become autonomous. When they become autonomous, you as a business leader can place a lot more trust within your teams, and that allows you to then pull back if required and work on the things within your business that you really want to focus on. So that's all for me today, guys. I really appreciate your time and attention.